right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick's on the Power. So in this video, I've got some powerlifting news for you guys. Mark Bell, who invented the slingshot and runs the YouTube channel Super Training TV, recently got his slingshot gear IPF approved for the low price of $253,000. Now, this is a pretty interesting story, and I've seen a lot of criticism on the forums about both Mark Bell and the IPF for this deal. But first, I want to explain kind of what this means. So for those of you that don't know what the IPF is, it's a powerlifting federation, essentially the top powerlifting federation and one of the strictest powerlifting federations when it comes to both drug testing and the types of equipment that they allow you to use. So it's a big deal to be approved for your equipment to be used, because then those IPF lifters would then go and buy your equipment because they know that they can use it in competition. Whereas if before, those IPF lifters had to buy another brand because your brand wasn't approved. So that's what this is all about, paying for the approval essentially to get the IPF lifters to buy and use Mark Bell's equipment. Now, one of the criticisms that I saw was actually a very fascinating and pretty valid point. The IPF has taken a very strict stance against steroid use and drug use in the IPF and in powerlifting. Now, there was even a controversy back in the day with Ed Cohen, who once failed an IPF drug test, and as a result, lifters were banned from the IPF for even attending seminars held by Ed Cohen. Now, why is this an interesting criticism? It's interesting because the criticism is that Mark Bell has been, a heavy proponent of steroid use. He talks very, very openly about his own use, really promotes other lifters that use, and was famously featured in the documentary Bigger, Stronger, Faster, basically advocating the benefits of drug use in powerlifting. So the criticism was kind of that the IPF had sold out here and basically said, yeah, we're against steroids and what they represent. Unless you have a lot of money, in that case, we'll bring you into our inner circle and make you one of the big name brands within our organization. Now, I think there's a little bit of validity to that criticism because of the principle of the matter. If the IPF is really that strict against drug use, you would think they wouldn't want a guy who's very, very open about drug use and advocates it to have his products be representing the IPF. But on the other hand, the products themselves aren't actually, symbolic of drug use. The products themselves don't equate to the lifters using drugs. The products are completely separate from whatever Mark Bell's viewpoints are on steroid use. So it's kind of an interesting point to think about the principle of the argument. But overall, I don't really think it's that big of a deal for them to allow Mark Bell's products in exchange for money. This type of thing happens all the time. And that brings me to the other point, which was that people were saying that Mark Bell was kind of misleading in his video about the IPF approval. He kind of makes it, puts this narrative on it like he's giving the money back to the powerlifting community, giving this $250,000 back to the community by getting his products IPF approved. Now, the argument there is that obviously the reason why you would want to get your products IPF approved is that lifters that normally wouldn't buy your products that lift in the IPF, that are buying other products that are on the approved list, you're missing out on that customer base because your products can't be used in those competitions. So by approving your products, those lifters from the IPF can now buy your products and use those products in competitions. So the idea of getting approved would be a business move. It would be to open up a new customer base that they didn't have before because those people couldn't use their products in competition. So the idea put forth by Mark Bell that he's giving back by spending $250,000 on IPF approval is kind of negated by the fact that the reason he most likely did it was to open up that new customer base. Now, the other criticism was that this was a ridiculous amount of money and that Mark Bell was wasting money on this deal because really, when you think about it, it's not a lifetime deal from what I understand. It's only a few years that they have this contract with Mark Bell. So you've got to think about it from the standpoint of how many lifters are there really in the IPF that are now going to buy Mark Bell's products over the next couple of years, that Mark Bell's even going to make that money back and profit from selling wrist wraps, knee sleeves, belts, and singlets. And it's important to make the distinction that this does not mean Mark Bell is the only company approved under IPF. There are other companies there for these lifters to choose from. So it's not like Mark Bell is now the exclusive, this is all you can wear for the IPF. So the argument is that, maybe a few IPF lifters or maybe even a bunch of IPF lifters will now buy his products and use them in competition. But how many are really going to buy them over the next couple of years that would really justify $250,000, from selling wrist wraps, knee sleeves, and singlets. Now, I haven't really been involved in the powerlifting community much since I stopped competing, but I really don't think the powerlifting market is that big of a market that a deal like this with a federation like this would open up a revenue stream of $250,000 from selling, again, wrist wraps, knee sleeves, and singlets. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below about this deal signed by Mark Bell. Do you think it was worth it? Do you think it was a waste of money? And what would your criticisms be of this deal? Thank you guys for watching the video, and please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.